And thank you so much for being here this morning. It is the Go Show, celebrating all things outdoors in this beautiful outdoor playground of a world that we live in. A lot to get to here. As you can see right here on screen with me is Commissioner Jim Goughnour. There was a big commission meeting yesterday and a big move on auction tags. So that is the dust up the kerfuffle of the week. So let's get right to that. And Commissioner, I really appreciate you being here. I want to first start with full disclosure. I know Jim. I work with Jim. Jim and I respect each other. So what I'm going to do for this, however long we want to sit and chat, is have a civil discussion, have a kind discussion, a respectful discussion. You can consider me the AI program that all of the comments and letters written and emails written to the commission have gone into, and I'm going to regurgitate them out in a very peaceful and respectful manner, because I'm sure, Commissioner, some of those emails were just some were most likely over the top. I've seen some, and I know the fervor that this has caused.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, Mike, for the opportunity to come back on the Go Show. It's always a pleasure doing these interviews, and that's a lot because of the way you handle these. And I'll say that, the majority of the emails that we got were respectful and just different opinions. And we say all the time that when it comes to wildlife management and a lot of things related to decisions that commissioners make, good people can have different ideas. And I mean, both have good points whenever they discuss different things. So as a commissioner, I mean, we're the ones that are in charge of managing the wildlife in the state of Arizona. And sometimes we have to make those tough decisions. And so I applaud. For the most part, the contacts that the commission had was respectful, pointed. So you always get a few nasty or bad eggs in there, but that's just comes with the job. I'm sure you get those in your profession as well.
If I had a dollar, let me tell you, we'd be talking from my island at this point. But I do mean this right up front. I want everyone to know I am not in agreement with what the commission voted on yesterday. I'm Chairman Goughnour was the dissenting vote, the only dissenting vote. And excuse me, I actually fall in his camp. I agreed with him almost 100%. So Jim and I are going to have this discussion. You know where we both stand on this. And I also am, you know me, after 11 years, I am an apologist. I am a supporter. I am an advocate for your Arizona Game and Fish Department and its commission. So in the commission, I trust. So we're going to move forward and really figure out what went on. So let's back it up if we could. And get back to the meeting yesterday. Yesterday was poor Clay Crowder. I felt so sorry for him. He had to give all this giant presentation on the stats and the history and the recommendation. And he knew pretty much the leaning of basically where this meeting was going to be going, or he had a feeling like all of us did. He had one heck of a job to do and one heck of a task, and he did it wonderfully. He presented stats, and then Commissioner Buchanan brought up a good point when he said their stats are facts and there is opinion. And opinion is opinion. He said, I'm going to give you my opinion. And he said that the auction tags do not fit in the North American model of wildlife conservation. It goes against that. So now I'm going to back up again. How long has the commission been talking about this, the auction tags going against the model?
Talking about it, I would say as long as I've been on the commission. It has always been something in the background, and I think over the years that I've been on the commission, I've seen it become more and more to the forefront. And so, last year at this time, the department sent a letter out to the WCOs and said, it is time to apply for special big game tags. And everybody knows you get 3 tags, but we want to hear from each of those WCOs, how many tags do you want and how are you going to sell these tags, and are you a qualified WCO and things like that. Mm-hmm. In that letter that went out last year, there was a comment in there that said the commission is looking for alternatives to an auction format. So please consider that as you submit your ideas. Well, as you saw, there were no ideas that came in.
I'm on.
But so, from a documentation standpoint, at least a year we've been working this. And then we started with the listening sessions a few months ago, followed by it's been at every commission meeting for the last 3 or 4 commission meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So, the last 6 months, we've been talking about it every single meeting. And up to a year ago, we started to let people know that, there's some issues with the way that we were proceeding.
Okay, so I am going to represent those wildlife conservation organizations. I'm going to represent them. If I see that question or that, hey, listen, the commission is looking into alternatives, we'd love to hear some ideas from you.
Mm-hmm.
I either go one of two ways in that as a WCO, and I think, okay, well, they're not going to get rid of auctions. It funds everything, the amount of money. There's no way they're going to get rid of that. Okay, forget about that. Okay, here's how many tags I want. Here's why I qualify. The other way is, oh my gosh, everybody, let's rally the troops. Get your torches, get your pitchforks. We're going out of the commission. They're getting rid of auction tags. I'm going to stick with the first one because that's the camp I would be in. What do you mean? What do you mean we're getting rid of auction tags? I mean, this is millions on top of millions of dollars for conservation. It kind of seems like a solution looking for a problem. Kind of seems like there was no problem. What was the problem? Why were we even having the discussion?
Very good question. Thank you. And there's not too many people that have poised that. It's not about the money. You heard in my motion that I said nobody disagrees that the auction format has raised a tremendous amount of money, millions of dollars that go into conservation. Arizona is a unique state in that every dollar that's raised through special big game tag sales, whether it's auction or raffle, whatever it is, 100% of those dollars go back to the Game and Fish Department. And then, per statute, those dollars are put into habitat and wildlife management of those species. So a mule deer tag has to go to conservation management of the mule deer. Elk, sheep, same thing. So it's not about the money. It's more about the ethics of it. The North American model, which is the guiding principle that's been in place for 100 years, has as one of its tenets that there is an equal opportunity for all. And when you have these high dollar sales of tags through an auction and the first bid is $200,000, you're not given an equal opportunity for everybody. And so that's where it is. It's more principle based or an ethos or ethics type philosophy than it is money.
Okay, wonderful, and I'm glad you brought that up, Commissioner Goughnour with us, and talking about the we'll get to the if it's permanent or not. We'll dive into that in just a moment. But I appreciate him being here, really talking about yesterday's decision. And I want to take a side note quickly. Commissioner Goughnour was the man who put the motion forward to a vote. And again, I don't agree with this move. I don't agree with what he was saying 100%. But I don't agree with him. But him doing that, knowing that he is standing in great opposition in front of him, and I got to tell you, the ability to do that and stand on your own principles and stand on what you know to yourself as being right and true, I commend you for putting that forward. You put that motion forward with passion, and it was cool to see. I was like, that's my guy Jim right there. That's cool. I don't agree with him, but that's my guy Jim. So it's I applaud you for standing on principle there.
Well, thank you. And it's not just who makes the motion. I mean, each commissioner is independent, and he or she makes a decision based on their perception of it. As you said, the vote was 4-1. So not all of us agree, and that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But the commission prides itself on we are independent from one another, and if the votes go that way, fine. If they don't go that way, then they don't. We had motions later on in the day that you saw that failed because there weren't enough commissioners on board. So that's just part of the job.
Right. No, absolutely. But it did, and I'm just going to keep complimenting you. Sorry, it did take a lot of courage to just stand on your principle and be the one to push that forward. So I will continue this. Now I want to jump back in the model because I am an advocate for the North American model of wildlife conservation in every which way, fashion, and form.
Mhm.
The opportunity for all section, and again, I'm representing those questions, comments, concerns of we the people. I see opportunity for all in there. There is no word equal in the opportunity for all section. So I don't begrudge somebody like a Jimmy John for making a ton of money and being able to fund a huge portion of Arizona wildlife conservation with one check, and you get to go hunt one animal. I don't begrudge them at all. And I don't think a lot of people begrudge anyone on the side of Camelback Mountain here in Phoenix. The biggest houses, with most expensive houses we got, just kind of, all right, they had the opportunity to go make that money and the opportunity to spend it. I see opportunity for all as a opportunity to hunt and fish. That's what we have. We have the opportunity to enjoy the natural resources that we have. It's held in trust. We have the opportunity. Don't really know where equal has to kind of come into play there.
Right. So it doesn't. In fact, not having the word equal is exactly what opens the door to what the decision is. And once again, we're looking at a document that's 100 years old, and we're trying to mince words to glean out different interpretations of it.
Sure.
So I get all that, but the ethics of it is our job as commissioners is to perpetuate wildlife management for future generations in Arizona. That includes everybody. It doesn't separate from people that have a lot of money or don't have a lot of money. We don't talk about that. We just talk about having the opportunity for all. That's what our mission is. So as I look at this, and I'm speaking just as one commissioner here, not for the rest,
Sure.
but I say that equal opportunity or opportunity for all means that everybody has a chance at it. And when you make a bid for a live auction for $200,000, I mean, you've been to these banquets, Mike.
Sure.
Everybody gets up and goes to the restroom or goes to the bar because the bidding's over for them. So, except for a small few. And then it gets exacerbated, I think, when it gets promoted like this. You mentioned the Jimmy John's video a while back. To this commissioner, I'm speaking as one commissioner, that was one of the most non-ethical hunts that I have ever seen. And I'll tell you why. Just my opinion, again, is that he is shooting that elk multiple times from over 1,000 yards away.
Yeah, right. It was a bad look.
Yeah.
It was a very bad look. It was not the best advertisement you can have for sandwiches or commissioner and auction tags, right? It was not a good commercial for that.
Exactly right. When the elk is down and they're filming at the kill site, there are no less than 25 people at the kill site. And you have to ask yourself, what are all those people doing out there in the middle of the forest? And why would they all be at that kill site? So you just question, how is this ethical? Is this
Sure.
what we want the picture of hunting to be? I mean, I relate it back to the coyote contest that we banned the cash payment for. And the promotion was, piles of dead coyotes and people laughing and having a good time about these mountain of dead coyotes. That's not good optics for hunting. That's not what hunting is. And so I think when we talk to our average hunters out there and we tell them, this is what we want to do. It is boots on the ground. It is hunting with your kids and your grandkids and spot and stalk animals and learn how to track and learn how to do those things. To the majority of the constituents in Arizona, that's what hunting's about. It's not about getting your name in a record book. It's not about, growing. We don't grow trophy-sized animals in Arizona. That's not part of our mission. A sustainable wildlife herd is what the commission is doing.
Okay, so two things in this. Let's jump into the WCOs. First, I want to say, as a proud fourth generation entrepreneur, I know that funding for a business, funding for anything, and in this case is conservation, is key. And if you have a giant funding source that's there, um, whether it's an advertiser or an investor, you don't punch that investor in the nose and just watch him take his giant bag of money and go away. So as any of the WCOs, I'm sure, are seeing, or at least feeling today, that okay, we have these guys coming in and just plunking down $500,000-700,000 at a clip. They're not going to buy a raffle ticket. They're not going to stick around in Arizona. They'll go to the other states that do have auctions. They're taking their money that's supposed to be right here in my WCO, and they're going to take it and pack it up and go. What do you say to the WCOs that are watching the big money bags go to another state?
So the first thing I'd say is that's happening today. Arizona is just another auction tag for them, but so is New Mexico, so is Colorado, so is Utah. So that's not changed. And by the way, you throw the Wallapai Nation and the Navajo Nation in there, the same with them, because they're putting tags out there now. Okay. So that's an ongoing process. But to the WCOs, we say we need to work together. We all want to work together. We want to raise as much money as we can through non-auction type formats. And they're out there. We have had success. We talked on our earlier show, Mike, about the competition that was put on social media. We talked about combining 3 of our tags for a bear, javelina, and mountain lion into Jaws and Paws program, and tenfold made money on that. So there are other ways to put these tags out there and to sell them. The Wild Turkey Federation is a good example. They go to a national conference with their special big game tag, and they sell decks of cards. And everybody who's at this conference buys as many cards as they want, because there's a lot of states that are all doing the same thing. And at the end of the conference, whatever money they have, they divide it up among the states who put a tag in to sell those cards. So the National Wild Turkey Federation comes back with like $10,000-12,000 every year for a turkey tag. Not bad.
Okay, comparatively, that's a lot, right?
Compared to an auction, that's a lot.
Okay.
To go do. So we applaud people that are thinking outside the box, if you will, looking for other opportunities. And we've been trying to encourage different WCOs to work on this model. And I'm sure going forward, we'll be forced now to be closer. But the commission stands by the side of the WCOs. I have said repeatedly during my career that the department nor the commission could meet its mission without the WCOs. They're a very important part to everything we do, and we're going to work together going forward to find a solution to these types of problems.
Okay, now you spoke to the WCOs. Now I'm going to have you speak to the MEs, the Mike Russells, those that are on the ground doing this conservation work. They're at the events, they're at the cleanups, they're at the programs. Oh, and by the way, thank you, Taylor, for popping in the Wildlife Conservation Organization. That's our WCOs. So the elk societies, pronghorn, the big, we call them the critter groups, for the cool kids, the inside. So thank you for that question. I appreciate it. So now I'm going to speak for this group, for the MEs around. I did like to see 500,000, 600,000. I didn't like to see the Jimmy John video, but I did like to see that big pile of cash. I really did. And now that those piles of cash will go to states that have the auctions, those people that buying the auction tags are going to buy tags elsewhere, and that money leaves, or their money leaves. I'm now wait a second. Now I have to. Now I got to buy a ticket. Now I've got to. I mean, I'm fine. It's an opportunity, but it took me 9 years to get an elk tag. Like the odds are not forever in my favor, so to speak. So now the big man with the money, the big woman with the money came in, left. Now that money's gone, it's now on me. it's now on the me's of the world to fund that and make up that gap. That doesn't seem fair.
Oh no, that's that's exactly. Thank you. So good people can look at things differently, right? We just
Right, correct. Yes, yes.
So here's the opportunity. We hear a lot that the Game and Fish Department and Commission, well, you're only in this for the money. You know, you're only trying to sell us stuff for the money, and you know, it's not about, you don't care about the average sportsman. You really don't want this. You don't have the right ethos. Here's an opportunity where instead of catering to a handful of rich people that can buy these tags at auction from any state in the West, we have 500,000 applicants a year to the Arizona Game and Fish Department for tags.
Yeah.
So we're saying, you, Mike Russells of the world, you're part of that 500,000, and we're giving you an opportunity to enter into this and make sure you've got the same chance as the guy who just bought an auction tag last year. And that's the goal here. That's what we call opportunity for all. So we're not catering to the rich people and violating the ethics of the North American model. I like the way you said it in our last show. We're looking out for the average hunter. We're giving them an opportunity to buy this raffle tag. There would be nothing more cool than an average guy like Mike Russell to win one of these tags and go on a hunt of a lifetime, 365 days, most anywhere in the state, to go hunt one of these animals. And I don't think there's a better opportunity that we can give to an average guy. Why wouldn't you throw $10 into that deal?
I have a giant stack over there by the door of expired gift cards and whatever. I always forget. I would forget. I'd be like 300. Oh, only got 5 days left in my 365. Yeah, I would mess that up. Okay, so that I agree. Now, one of the other issues that were brought up was okay, that the 700,000, the 500,000, the 300,000, the big tags, the big money that came in for conservation. Am I right or am I wrong in saying that there were PNR match funds that were Pittman Robertson match funds? And for those that don't know what Pittman Robertson is, the Pittman Robertson Act is an excise tax that's been around for a bazillion of years, an excise tax on hunting and fishing equipment, thanks to the Dingell-Johnson Act, that funds conservation nationwide. Because your Arizona Game and Fish Department doesn't get $1 from the general tax fund here in Arizona. That's how they're funded, through Pittman Robertson, through tags and like. So it wasn't there a match from PNR funds onto these tags?
So Ed, thanks for bringing that up, Mike, because it's a point of that's not very clear to a lot of people. And matching dollars was thrown around, 3x and 5x of the number. So where they got the match number from, and this is the department, is through our HPC process. As you know, every year after this money comes in from the sale of the special big game tags, it goes to our Habitat Partnership Committee, HPC, and then there's a whole program that distributes that money. When those proposals come in, and let's say somebody wants to put a water tank on the Forest Service somewhere, there's a bid that comes along with that. And so they'll have all the material listed there, they'll have all the travel listed there, whatever it is. But on the other side of the ledger, it'll say these are the matching funds that come into that. So if it's the rancher's time to put in there, if it's volunteer time that go in there, if it's travel time, gasoline, renting of a backhoe, whatever those costs are that associate with that project, that's where the matching funds come in. PR dollars and other federal grants are not part of that match. That's not to say that there's not PR dollars that come in and support programs, but the number the department calls match comes from the proposals that they receive through the HPC process.
Okay. See, that makes it. See, I'm glad we got to clear that up. And again, we're clearing the air from all of this. Now, speaking of clearing the air, Let's go on to numbers of tags. As we've seen, there's been a decrease in certain tag numbers over the past year or two, and then and now on top of that, we're thinking, okay, now we're going to take this money out, which has always been there for more tags, more opportunity. Isn't taking money out of conservation, which conservation leads to healthier populations and more huntable populations and more tags? Isn't that decreasing opportunity for all if you take that out?
So a couple of things there, and just the premise of it. Everyone's assuming that we're going to see this decrease, and I understand that the information that Clay Crowder presented yesterday was extremely detailed. And if you're not down in the weeds of understanding how all this money gets generated, those slides to anybody else in the public must have been just overwhelming. Just
really eyes glazed over.
Yeah.
You're right.
You can see that. My wife was telling me that I couldn't follow that conversation. And
he did a great job. He did an amazing job, by the way. Next banquet I see him at, drink on me, pal. That was a tough spot he was in. He did good.
He did. But one of the pieces that he had in there, and this was something the commission's been asking for a long time, is to come up with a model to predict, if you will, how the revenues would change. And so it wasn't, like I said, it was hard to follow in the slides. But as an example, let me pick pronghorn. The chart that he showed for pronghorn showed 2 auction tags that are being auctioned, plus the third tag at the raffle. And what he said at the end of the day, for the last 2 or 3 years, I forget what his data set was, that there is no difference in revenue if we sell this tag through a auction or if we sell it through a raffle. The raffle did just as well as an auction. It was $0 difference in that template. When he moved to the other species, the bison, the turkeys, the whitetails, the jaws and paws, they all made more money in a raffle format than they made on the auction format. When you get to the mule deer, the sheep, and the elk, they made more in the auction format. But the numbers that he showed there said that for the for the sheep, the difference was about $100,000. For the mule deer, the number was about $200,000. And for what's the other one? The sheep, the elk. Elk. Yeah. It was $100,000. So the point that he was trying to make there is that, yes, auction tags make more money than raffle tags. This is based on our history, but it's not like these millions of dollars that everybody's predicting. We're going to lose $7 million across the state to go do this. It's not going to be like that. And if we start to work together and we put our emphasis on what's the best way to market these, like I was saying in the motion, we have the capability to reach out to every single man and woman across the country anymore for non-auction type formats. If people argue that for a raffle, you can't go outside the state of Arizona, that's why I don't like the word raffle. Let's come up with a non-auction idea that we can go out of state, like the Conservation USA competition that was done. They were able to go around the country for that. So we can find solutions to that. And I say that we will end up having more money for conservation at the end of the day than what we get on these auction tags.
Okay. And here's the deal. I believe in this. When you talk about modeling, Models are only as good as the assumptions you place into them. But I know Commissioner Goughnour, I know Commissioner Petrie Sue, I know Chairman Geiler to be very inquisitive, and they don't make decisions unless it is they have all of their questions answered. It is not just this is the way I feel, I'm going to vote this way or make this decision. So when I hear Commissioner Goughnour say, no, actually, will most likely will, the trend lines are here and there, the man has done the research. So speaking of that, WCOs, listen to me here. Listen, just listen to me. This is going to pinch a little bit, okay? This is going to pinch a little bit, but you know what? I'm your boy. I'm on your side. Just feel me out here. There were no alternatives offered. There really aren't. And I do understand where you are. I understand where you are on this. I really do. Because you thought there's no way they're getting rid of this bag of money. There's no way. So we don't really have to think of any alternatives. There's no way they're getting rid of auction tax. But they did. So now alternatives need to be brought to the table. We have to work together now. There's really no options. So it's basically a call to everybody, even in the comments here on the show. If you're listening to this, chime in. What type of alternatives are there? Because we are now in a position where we're going to have to figure out how to recoup this money. So here we go. Outside of raffles, Commissioner, have you heard any type of any alternatives other than just going into some sort of a raffle or buy a ticket?
There are some potentials out there for sure, and they're not even new ideas. Just today, here's how the mindset is changing already. Today, I got 2 emails submitted to my Game and Fish email address with alternatives from just the general public. I mean, the guys that aren't even with organizations are like, hey, what about this? What's wrong with this model? And there's good ideas out there. We have not spent the time to investigate them and to see what is out there to go process. Everybody said that the competition that was done, which for the listening audience was a social media kind of contest, voting for a certain representative, and then that person would win the contest at the end. Everybody thought, well, that's not going to get passed, and there's going to be issues with that. Turned out to be a wonderful thing. It brought in $500,000 for a mule deer tag. At that time, was the highest we've ever received for a mule deer tag. Yeah. Today, it's not so much, but there are those types of ideas out there. And we encourage everyone. It's the WCOs, the commission stands ready to help with any way we can. And this commissioner, I'll speak for myself, I'll do anything to work with WCOs to come up with a non-auction type sale of those tags.
Okay, now we're dealing with government. Commish, we're dealing with government. So let's talk about obstacles. If we do have alternatives, or we can't say the R word, we can't say raffle, or how much red tape are we going to deal with? Is this going to be a pain in the tuchus? Is this just going to be more headache than it's worth? What talk to me about what we're dealing with if I bring some sort of an idea to the forefront?
So you are well educated on this topic, my friend. So you're right. There is red tape, and the biggest one that's out there is the gambling codes. And in Arizona, especially now that we have online gambling, where you can bet on your fantasy football team, and you can place all these bets out there. So that type of gambling was passed, and it actually muddied the waters for 501c3s that are trying to conduct different types of fundraising, and not just Game and Fish we're talking about here. Yeah. I mean, this is outside Title 17. You can go into any community that's trying to raise money or something. A lot of the organizations that are out there, I won't say a thin line, but people are already trying to misinterpret and call things gambling that may not be gambling. And then further complicating it is that each state has its own rules about gambling. There are some, like I'll use the state of Washington. In the state of If you live in Washington, you cannot go on your computer and buy a fantasy football, anything like that.
Huh.
In other states, they say, well, you can, but you have to buy a permit in our state. And in other states, they say you can, except in these cities that have an exception to
Ugh.
it.
Okay.
So it is really complicated
Yeah.
and really hard to work through there. So when you say that there's red tape, I mean, as you know, that's an understatement,
Right.
and that's why it takes working together. The good part is that there are well qualified lawyers in the state of Arizona that have looked at these different processes that are out there, and there are retainers by the WCOs to give their professional legal opinions on these things. And it's been invaluable to the department to have that perspective before we go forward with these things. So I think that'll continue with whatever ideas we come up with. And each one will be considered no matter what. And I hope that we end up with a lot of different options out there.
They help Mike get a elk tag raffle. I like the sound of it all. I like the sound of it right out of the gates, but we might get rid of raffle. I don't know. We're just gonna flesh it out. We're just gonna see. We're gonna throw it on the wall and see if this bad boy sticks. Right. And now, so we're at the hands of government and attorneys. Okay. Great. Oh boy. You're not helping our cause here, pal.
There is some of that there, but that's the world we live in today. Kind of like I said in the motion, times have changed a lot over the years with tags, and that's just kind of where we are today. But I will say that.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I want to get back to the revenue side of it one time. I hope that in 2, 3, 5 years, we come back on here and we have this same show, and we can look back now over 3 years of data and running different non-auction type formats, and the money's higher than it ever was. And we can look back on this just like we did with trail cameras and say, you know what, you guys were on the tip of that spear, but you made the right call for that.
Okay. Yeah. And so right now I would say this is what I would say. Everybody put your torches, your pitchforks down. Let's see if it is what it is. So let's see if we can come up with some cool alternatives and maybe knock the ball just clean out of the park on this. And I hope we can. Let's talk about the actual motion itself, because I have rewound and heard your motion, rewind, heard your motion. I think I understand it. So I'm gonna give you what I think you was voted on yesterday, and what passed yesterday 4-1 is there are 2-year cycles or seasons for commissioner tags. So this year, is this the first or the second year in this current season?
This year, the current 24-25 season, because you're right, the special big game tag season passes over into a calendar year.
Okay.
So the 24-25, we decided that last year. So that's what we're executing today. We've had a couple of auctions already. Mm-hmm. A couple of those tags have been sold, and there's a bunch more to sell.
Okay. So all is status quo right now, as it stands today. This year, move all the banquets you've already bought your ticket for. There's most likely, if it's advertised, there's an auction tag there. We're having it. You didn't pull the rug out. Didn't say nope. We're stopping that. We're still status quo this year.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Well wonderful. Said.
Then moving forward,
forward will be the year 25-26, okay. And we will decide. In June, we will distribute those tags June of this year for the 25-26 special big game season. We always do it like a year in advance like that.
Okay.
So for that special big game season, we said we're still going to give 3 tags, just like the statute says, just what we've been doing, except one of those tags has to be a non-auction format.
Okay.
The other one can still be an auction format. So next year, there will still be one auction tag out there for those species.
Okay. So for the next cycle, there's one that's going to be available for auction. Then we move up to the next season, And that is when we're
26,
saying, yeah, 26, 27, we're like, okay, is there your motion yesterday and what was voted on? 26, 27, no auctions.
correct.
Correct. Okay.
By then, we have to come up with non-auction type programs to sell these tags. And I mean, I have high 90% confidence that by the time we get to that, this will be solved. People will see a path to make even more money. The average hunters in the state of Arizona understand that they want an opportunity for this. And as soon as one of those guys wins one of these tags, Mike, it's going to be all over the newspaper. It's going to be all over the media. And it's going to be somebody who said, I never dreamt in my lifetime that I would ever get a hunt like this, that I could have this opportunity for me and my son and my grandkids. I mean, just imagine what that story is going to look like. Yeah. And that's when I think that the rest of the state and the hunters around the western U.S. will figure this out.
Okay. And by the way, are we the only state that's doing this, or how many states are either voting on this and have already voted on this? You know?
Interesting. Once again, I'll say that Arizona is on the point of this spear. We are the first ones that have taken this kind of a step. However, we have an association of commissions called the Western Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies, and we meet twice a year, and we have an opportunity to sit down in a room with commissioners from all over states in the Western United States. There's 11 different states and provinces in Canada included in there. I got calls from 3 different state commissioners this past week wanting to understand this motion and what they're doing, because they are hearing the same rumblings that we are, that there is discontent. This might not be an ethical thing for our state. And quite frankly, they said, typically whatever happens in Arizona happens about 2 years later in our state. So we always look to Arizona as the bellwether state. And this is going to migrate across the Western U.S. More commissions are already talking about what the future looks like here.
All eyes on us. Okay. All right, everybody. Now you know everybody's looking at us. So act right. Okay. Just act right.
And I mean, just as an example, Mike, the trail camera ban, first for live action and then for passive action for the take of wildlife. Arizona was the first state to do that.
I remember.
And then the paying cash prizes, which violates a North American model for monetizing of wildlife. Banning cash prizes for the killing of predators was first banned in Arizona. Now it's throughout the West. I mean, every state has that in place now.
Okay. Again, let's act right. Everybody's watching us. Okay, come on. It's like we have guests. We have guests coming in from out of town. Okay, can you act like we're normal? Just act like we're normal. I'm gonna. What would you say to the WCOs? I want you to talk directly to them right now. What would you say to the WCOs that heard this yesterday and are already circling the wagons and saying, we're going to do this. We're going to spend all this money. We're going to do this. We're going to change this. Are you advising some calm and some just let's all have a discussion, or heck, go for it. Go buy the programs. Do what you need to do.
Yep. So I think they're there. For the people that listen to your show that don't engage with these wildlife conservation organizations, first of all, you should, because they're great organizations there. And I can tell you, there are extremely intelligent, well-educated, understand the rules, understand the laws. There are level-headed, smart people that run these organizations. So although they're passionate, I said at the beginning of the show, good people can have different opinions. They're passionate about where that is. But like you said, the vote was 4-1. So how do we go forward from here? And I'm sure that each of those executive councils from the WCOs are probably sitting down today or within the next week and try to figure out how they plan for it. Let's think of some ideas. Let's hopefully get the commission involved, get the department involved, and work through this to see how we move forward. But I am highly confident, as I said, that's going to happen. These guys are smart. They've always figured it out in the past, and there's no reason to believe it won't happen in the future.
Are the commissioners available? I mean, just, hey, can you either Zoom in, or we have a meeting? We have a couple ideas we're trying to flesh out. Talk to me about the commission minds and maybe even the legal minds to get involved. How much help are we looking at? Because we're going to need it.
Yep. I've been on several of those calls already. And so the answer is yes. The only stipulation is you cannot have more than 3 commissioners at any business related meeting. Once again, for your audience, if it's a social event like a banquet, you might see 3 commissioners at a banquet, and that's okay because you're not doing business. But if there's a Zoom call where you're talking about different options for tags, I'm sure 1 or 2 commissioners would be happy to sit in on that Zoom call and provide whatever perspective to it.
I think that's going to be needed. I really do. I think, especially moving forward, we're talking about lawyers, we're talking about government, we're talking about, those that do know, and your passion as it relates to your opinion of the North American model and what's ethical, what's not. I think it's fantastic that you guys will definitely be there. I want to either put something to bed or start the biggest fire we've ever started with this next question before I let you go, Commissioner. I appreciate your time. This is it's us, okay? It's the WCOs, it's the volunteers, it's those that are on the ground. We talk a lot. We're like a sewing circle. We talk a lot. So and there's a lot of gossip. So and I believe that Commissioner Buchanan and Petrie Sue brought this up. The outside influence theory, that there was somebody, and there's a lot of fingers pointed at one potential outside influence group. Talk to me about the outside influence. Was there, wasn't there? Why are people thinking there was an outside influence?
I think I know the answer to that. And it's that this debate has been around for as long as I've been on the commission. So former commissioners have talked about this. And so former groups have talked about it. So, I mean, I started in a motion saying this is not a new topic that's out there. But both the commissioners so eloquently stated, each of us is independent thinkers, own businesses, and we're not, because somebody calls us and says, here's what I think you should do, that's going to influence what we have. If that were the case, the over 1,000 responses that came in would have driven the day. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we do what we think is best for the wildlife in the state of Arizona. That's our simple mission. We kind of talked about this a little bit on the last show. We have the responsibility to manage a public resource. And that public resource here is our wildlife. And our charter for overseeing that wildlife is to make sure that it is perpetual for future generations. And that's what we drive for. That's what I base my decisions on. I love the North American model. I've got the book at home. I can tell you, I look at that thing. I won't say every single commission meeting in my preparation for the meeting, but every other one is probably a good average, because there's always something there where I have to go back and say, is this really in compliance with that? And this one about opportunity for all, I know that a lot of people want to connect that to the opportunity to hunt or the opportunity to fish or the opportunity to do this, but in reality, it doesn't say any of that. It encompasses all of that. And so when it says equal opportunity or opportunity for all, that's what it means. Everybody has that in there. So I don't think we're influenced by anybody or anything. I would hope that we use that North American model as a guiding principle, and then we make our independent decisions. I'll tell you, I was surprised by the vote yesterday. I did not think it was going to be 4-1.
I didn't either. I actually, who just came out of left field, in my opinion, it was just you and I rapping about this, was Commissioner Buchanan. I mean, he can speak passionately.
Oh yeah.
He's definitely passionate about this, which is fantastic. And again, it's a group of 5 individuals. Can you do? But before I let you go, can you do me a favor, Commissioner? Talk to who I was concerned about, and I still am concerned about, and I think this is hopefully soothing any wounds as best we can do. The group that I was most worried about in this with this decision are again the me's, the ones that are the buying tickets to the banquets, the ones that are volunteering their time, talent, treasures,
Mhm.
and really on the ground. Because like you said, you have 500,000 at minimum hunters. This is people that just apply for tags. 500,000 hunters in this state, and this would, I mean, anglers and just conservationists that just like to show up and volunteer here. The vast majority of them don't even know that there are commission tags. They probably don't even know that this is a thing. So they weren't really impacted by this or really hurt by this. Those that I think were like, hey, ow, hey, wait, what are you guys doing? The ones that volunteer the most, the ones that are just in on the ground doing the most, I think they kind of feel slighted in this because they're like, wait a second, that conservation money goes to the things I do on the weekend when I'm out repairing a fence line or doing some repairing meadow or something like that.
Right.
Dang it. Why, Commissioner? Why? Help us.
So two things. First point is, and I said this in the motion yesterday as well, thinking through this, that the model that we have in place today is we have 2 auction tags. Those auction tags go to a handful of people. And then we have a third tag that goes to a raffle. And so we have a opportunity for the 500,000 people to go for 1 tag, but 2 tags go to an exclusive group of rich people. That on its face is backwards and is wrong. Our charter is everybody. So that's how we have it in there. And once again, I'm going to say we might struggle for a year or two, Mike, in the revenue side until we come up with these ideas. 3 years from now, I'm saying that it's going to be more money on the ground than what we're doing today. There's the only tags that we're talking about are sheep, elk, and mule deer. And the only difference we're talking about is what can be raised using an auction format and a non-auction format. Whatever that delta is, that's what we're trying to make up. We just said that for pronghorn, data shows that there is no difference. So we don't need to come up with any huge ideas for that. Just keep doing what you're doing for the
It ain't
pronghorn.
broke.
It ain't broke, right?
Okay.
So other ones, there's a difference in money. You can see that in the data that's supplied. So that's the challenge to the commission, the department, the WCOs, the volunteers, the Mike Russells of the world. We need everybody to get there. And if we tell the average 500,000 hunters in Arizona that we're making sure you have an opportunity, you can argue the statistics or the percentages or probabilities of anything you want, but you have an equal opportunity to the next guy. And that's our goal.
Okay, well said. So to wrap this up, I want to thank you for coming on because I think a lot of questions, hopefully a lot of questions were answered, like a lot of wounds were soothed in this last hour. And by the way, if you missed any of this, the podcast is going to be up in just moments after the program, and you can catch it on Spotify, where we get your I heart all of them. They're all there and ready to go. And right here on YouTube as well, or you can just watch the video again because Commissioner Goughnour is a good-looking dude, so you just watch him if you'd like to. You can block me out of the screen if you'd like. Here we are. This is it. This is where we are, and I think I hope I speak for you as well, Commissioner. Is it's okay? I've been in media for 17 years. I know setbacks and things happen and they are the way they are. So, okay, let's keep taking one step at a time. Let's keep moving forward and really turn this thing into something great because it is what it is. The vote is what it was. Sour grapes complaining, being and moaning about the whole thing is not going to fix anything. So let's put down our gossip wheels and let's get on to finding a solution, right?
Absolutely agree with that. And like I said, I respect all these organizations. I know these guys personally. I know you've had them on your shows, and I mean they're great interviews when you talk to the different leaders of these organizations. So I'm confident about the future. I'm excited. I feel good this morning from an ethical standpoint that the commission made the right decision yesterday. It's going to take some time for all of that to iron out, and we get on, with doing the conservation work that gets done across the state. But I think we'll get there. But let me say one thing before you sign off here, Mike. I do lots of interviews. I've been on lots of podcasts, and the time that you spend to engage in these conversations, to ask these difficult questions is rare. Most people come in and they're biased in their questions, biased in their responses, ask you the gotcha questions. I admire you, sir,
Thank you.
for your even candor and looking at both sides of this argument and talking to both sides in that manner. So I appreciate here. Anytime you would like me on this show, I'd be glad to come back on.
I definitely appreciate you. I appreciate those kind words. And let me just tell the commission to you, to all of the commissioners, you have a platform here. You have a microphone here at any time. If you want to clear the air or soothe the wounds, so to speak, as do the WCOs. All of you have a platform here. You're welcome here anytime. Reach out to me on these platforms. Say, I need to come on. I want to talk. I want to air my grievances. I don't care. We're going to have a good conversation and we're going to have some fun. So you have a platform, and especially when a new idea is approved and stamped, and you start your whatever the program is for these auction tags, please come on. We'll advertise it. Well, I want to help out. I want to make sure that that wherever we go, that dollars are on the ground for Arizona wildlife conservation. I want to do everything I can. I know the commissioners do. So let's move forward and just keep stepping and make sure we knock this ball out of the park. What do you think? Everybody in?
Yes, sir. I'm definitely in, and I think I can speak for each of the commissioners. We're in with that as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Commissioner. I appreciate it. Thank you for being with us, and chime in. We'll keep the comments and the questions going after the show as well. We appreciate you. Get outdoors, have some fun this weekend. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. Have some fun, and we'll see you. Oh, I forgot the big news, Jim. Jim, you were supposed to remind me. I just kid. He wasn't supposed to remind me. We're doing this. We are actually going 5 days a week here on the Go Show. We're actually starting on Monday. We're going 5 days a week, 11 a.m. every single day, Monday through Friday. We're going to talk about just getting outdoors and having some fun, celebrating this beautiful outdoor playground of the world that we live in each and every day. So 11 o'clock right here, wherever you are right now, this is where we're going to be, 11 o'clock. So we'll see you on Monday at 11. Thanks so much for being here, Commissioner. Appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.